Well, do a brief introduction again. I'm Craig Campbell. I'm helping Jason out with his marketing and his campaign. Live here in McCall, and just have been a good friend of Jason's, and so I'm really hopeful that he pulls this off. I don't know if you guys know this, but traditionally, running a write-in campaign is nearly impossible to win. And the reason why is because there's nothing to remind people to write in the candidate's name. Absolutely nothing. There's no signage right at your ballot. There's no advertisement. There's no name on a ballot in front of you as you're at the poll. And so we've been really aggressive with our marketing and helping Jason do this. So hopefully it'll be top of mind awareness. And so we're real excited. That's the reason why we're doing this just before the election on Tuesday. Jason, why don't we just have you just real quickly introduce yourself a little bit, talk a little bit about yourself, why you're running for sheriff in the first place, and maybe a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jason Speer. I've lived in Valley County for just about 20 years now. Moved here in September of 2000, and yeah, God, I guess it is 20 years now, isn't it? Wow, time flies.
Doesn't it?
But yeah, I served 8 years in the United States Air Force as a security policeman, and was looking to transition out of the Air Force into the civilian world. And my wife was from Emmett. I was from Missoula, and long story short, we chose here. Sorry for moving around there for a second. We chose here because this was a lot like the Bitterroot Valley, which is where I grew up in the Lolo, Florence, Missoula area. My folks kind of moved around here and there, as I grew up as a kid. I, from a young child, knew I wanted to be in law enforcement. Some kids want to be, fighter pilots. Other kids want to be, marine biologists. I wanted to be a peace officer. I thought it was an intriguing profession where you could assist your fellow citizens at their greatest time of need. And I found it very rewarding, and so I entered the civilian field here at Valley County. Sheriff Durfee hired me, and I can't thank him enough for seeing in me enough trust and faith that I could perform the job. So I worked 18 years for the sheriff's office. I worked many different divisions, positions throughout the sheriff's office, from the county canine, where I ran a dual-purpose canine dog, which was a drug detection dog, and then patrol division, obviously. As I promoted up, I kind of did slash positions. Valley County is a small enough agency that sometimes you have to pull double duty. You might be a sergeant of the Marines / a sergeant in detectives. It just kind of depended on the needs of the agency. But I ran the detective division for a year. I ran the Marine division for 10 years. Just took on a lot of different hats, and I really enjoyed each and every facet that I got to do at the sheriff's office, because I was able to learn those positions, learn budgeting, learn the things that made the sheriff's office tick, and eventually moved up to the position of chief deputy after being a lieutenant for I think 2 or 3 years, and then moved up to be a chief deputy. And the chief deputy, sometimes also referred to as an undersheriff, it just depends on the agency, is the second in command of the agency. So in the absence of the sheriff, the chief deputy fulfills the duties of the sheriff. Obviously, it sounds pretty grandiose, but it just means that when the sheriff's gone, somebody's holding down the fort, and they have the authority of the sheriff. So I did that, and had a tremendously good time doing it, and left employment with the sheriff's office after what I'm sure you've all read, but a clerical error on a training form that I was awarded 10 hours of training. Instead, it was when I submitted it, it was submitted along with everybody else in the class for 40 hours. Mine was only 10. I emailed Post to correct it, and the Post acknowledged that they were going to correct it, and it just became a bigger issue. And so Patty and I decided that I would resign, and the county paid me a severance package, and I left the employment of the sheriff's office, knowing that it was coming up on campaign time. So I used that time really to go out and campaign. And unfortunately, the primary was really clogged with 5 people, and I can say about my fellow challengers. They all had good ideas, but there was a common thread there, and it was change. It was change for a myriad of reasons, but there was that common thread of it was time. It was time for something new. It was time for the agency to morph into something further than what it is right now. Thankfully, Valley County employs a bunch of tremendously stellar employees who just need a different leader to take them in a different direction. And that's kind of what resoundingly, got me into running for sheriff. And then after the primary, I was approached by some concerned citizens of our community with a petition of all things. I never really imagined people would do a petition to me. But there's a whole bunch of our citizens' names, and they're begging me to run because they wanted a choice, and the resounding theme was that they had looked at the numbers in the primary, and they thought that had the landscape been different, that the outcome might have been different. And so obviously there's no way to say that all the votes that went to the other challengers would have been mine. That would be just insane to even imply that. But so with that petition, I talked to my wife, I talked to my friends, I talked to people that I really respect, and they believe that if the voters want a second chance, or just an option of something besides Patty, you should give it to them. And so I stepped headlong back into that, and here we are. I believe that I have put forth a platform that is about 180 degrees different than where we're at. It may not be diabolically opposed, because I don't think that law enforcement moves in too many directions but the will of the people. And obviously we're guided by our constitutions of both the state and the nation. But there are the things that we do on the ground, the things that we do day to day, and just how we interact with our citizens and the services that we provide. That's where I see a rather big difference. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I know Craig has some questions that he's going to ask me, and I really thank you all for logging in. I know 8:00 at night is a little late. Sorry. I do have a job right now, and sometimes I'm off at 3, sometimes I'm off at 9:00 at night. So we were just trying to pick a time that we wouldn't have to say, oh, he couldn't attend because he was still at work. And so thank you for bearing with me on the late hour. I know it's past dinner time. My wife and kids are upstairs making dinner. So, but thank you.